Hey, hi everybody. Welcome to our devotions. We're talking about the Beatitudes, that incredibly beautiful sermon that Jesus preached on the side of the mountain to his disciples. And Jesus was trying to teach people about what real Christianity looks like. It's not flash and blur, it's not all that bling stuff. Christianity in its truest and its purest sense is living out the 9 criteria or characteristics that we find in this passage of Matthew 5, the Beatitudes. When we look at those things, we see where the journey begins. It begins at the point of poor in spirit. It begins at the point of on our knees saying, God, I have nothing to offer you other than my messed up life. And I would want for you to take me and to forgive me and to make something of that rubbish that I have created in my life. And can you make something of this thing? It comes to those who are poor in spirit. Now, we often say in our worldly culture, blessed are the rich, blessed are you when you're famous and you're wealthy and you're prosperous. Jesus poo-poos that stuff. And he says, as much as those things may come to some people, the real deal begins with us declaring our spiritual depravity and our spiritual bankruptcy begins on our knees. It's all about pride. It was pride that got Satan kicked out of heaven in the first place. And it's pride is even today that will keep most people out of heaven. Pride is probably a big deal. So what I'd like to do is have a look at this thing and talk about this enemy of pride, see how it identifies itself with us, how it is that it just so ingrains itself in our lives and becomes sometimes kind of like a part of who we are. So let's talk about this pride thing for a couple of days. First of all, I want to suggest that pride is as a result of human nature gone wrong. God did not create us proud. He created us beautiful, humble, walking with God, never offended, not offensive. And when we walk with God like that, that's a return to what it was like in the Garden of Eden, where God walked with man and man walked humbly with his God. Satan came in and he corrupted human nature. Have a look at human nature right now. Paul in Romans talks about the human nature that we're born with, this miserable, ugly self. I don't need Satan in order to sin. I do pretty well all on my own, simply because I have a corrupt human self. And it comes as a result of the sin of Adam, and now we're born with this nature of sinfulness. And it's not long before that nature becomes sin itself in our lives. Just have a look at the children of today. You just look at them, how pride has puffed them up, and my picture is better than yours, and I can run faster than you, and I'm a better person than you, and we're just born with this nature. Nobody teaches us to be that stuff. We're born with that sinful, selfish nature and desire. And then when it comes to salvation, we still carry that with us. But fortunately, as Paul says, we have victory in Christ. He compares us to a body of death. Imagine carrying around a dead body with you. He says that's what your old self is like. It pollutes you. It corrupts you. And ultimately, if you don't get rid of it, it will kill you. Because pride does that just to us. Now, in Romans, we have this whole thing about why is it that I do the things that I don't want to do, and I don't do the things that I want to do? Why is this such a human dilemma in our lives? Well, the answer is very simple. You're at war with yourself. Yourself, the self that is within you, the selfish nature that you're born with, has declared war on everything that God holds to be of value to you. If we can master the self, and we can, because it says there that Jesus Christ and his blood helps us to overcome this body of death that we are being lumbered with and that we carry through our lives. So at the beginning, we understand that pride comes simply because it's always there. It's right there in our innermost being. It's in our DNA, baby. And we've got to deal with it in a spiritual way. And we're going to talk about what that looks like. But when you think of this pride thing, I can't help but think of way back in the days of Cain and of Abel. What was it that so offended Cain by Abel's offering? Well, the very same thing. Abel's offering was received by God with joy. Cain's offering was rejected by God because he gave it with the wrong motive. Nothing wrong with his offering. I've often said, well, he gave the old vegetables to God and said, well, you'll be happy with this. That's not true. He gave a legitimate offering, but he gave it for all the wrong reasons, because his pride kept him from doing it legitimately and honestly. Pride is a challenging thing, and it's because, first of all, we are born with a human, sinful, selfish nature. We get victory through that, through Christ. No condemnation in Christ. He is the strength with which we deal with that selfish nature. I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless I live, but Christ lives in me. He is my hope of glory. We'll talk some more about that another time. But let's talk about this today. Think about it. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.